What do I usually say? Welcome
Welcome
to
to the Creation of Cashflow podcast.
yeah. We should keep that in. Welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. How's it going, Michelle?
How's it going? Great question. How's what going?
I don't know, just everything. How's your day going? Why don't we start there?
My day's great. I got 4 hours of sleep last night and the night before and the night before that because I've been so busy, but it's been great. I don't know. I have so much energy. Like I feel very fulfilled and happy. And I mean, we just had our Wednesday morning call as we usually do, and I just feel very encouraged because I know how hard it can be when you're working at something and it's just not working out for you, but knowing that it will is everything. And I don't know, I feel very just like zen right now. How are you doing?
I love it. I feel super zen too. I rearranged the room that I'm in. So if anyone's watching this on YouTube and you're like, he looks like he's in a similar spot, but maybe not the same spot, I just moved things around and it's making me feel very zen. Sometimes you got to, shake things up a little bit. But I love that you kind of mentioned that you're feeling inspired and like, inspired to like keep going and things don't always work out, but like, because that all just kind of ties into our episode for today. And we're going to talk about side hustles that we've tried and things that we've learned from them. Because I thought I have tried a lot of side hustles, but then Michelle was telling me the ones that she's tried. And I was like, shit, I didn't try as many as I thought I did. So, anyway, Michelle, let's kind of start with you. Do you want to touch on your weekend a little bit and see if that kind of leads us in, or do you want to just get right into
Wait, my weekend?
yes, um, like what you did this weekend? That was
Oh
very
crap,
exciting.
yeah. I forgot. I totally forgot I was like, what had happened? Well, that was just helping a friend out, right? So my friend owns a med spa in Beverly Hills, and she needed somebody to come to this event at Jamie Foxx's house to just help with like check-in and people signing a consent form for B12 shots or Botox or whatever. And I was like, of course I'm gonna come help. Like they're one of my closest friends. And so I went and it was so fun. I met a lot of people. I made some new client connections as well. And I got to meet Jamie Foxx and sit and talk about acting. And he was very inspiring and encouraging. And it was just really cool to hear some like behind the scenes of Django, which we watched Django last night, me and our friends, just like as a recap. So yeah, no, it was amazing, but it was like one of those things that I could have easily said no because I wasn't getting anything out of it except just helping my friends and I love being with them. But it was actually such an amazing event. I'm so grateful I got to be a part of it. It was through like Motion LA. If anybody knows what that is, it's like a workout event thing. It was really fun.
That sounds so cool. What's Tell us something about Jamie Foxx. Like, was he taller than you were expecting? Was he nicer? Like, just give us a little taste.
He looks so young. Like I'm just surprised at how old he is. He was taller than me, but almost everybody is because I'm so short. Nick, how tall are you?
I'm like 5'11 and a half.
Okay, I was curious. I know we're gonna meet in person eventually in a couple months or whatever, but no, Jamie was he was so just like humble and nice, and honestly, he's just such a confident dude. Like he just walks around with this he just exudes confidence and he's so grounded. And I mean, obviously he's a great actor, but he's just freaking hilarious. He was just talking about like childhood memories and stuff, and it was just so he's just funny. His comedic timing is unreal. And I mean, he's just really talented. He's obviously really kind to open up his home to some of us and like let us swim in his pool and have drinks available and all that. And so he's just a really cool dude. Really cool. Great person to know.
That's very cool. I've always dreamed of swimming in Jamie Foxx's pool, but you know, it hasn't happened yet. So don't worry, I will I will keep at it. But anyway, let's kind of dive in now to some of these side hustles and things we've tried. And, the relevance is all just like, it's really just like our never give up stories. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but most of mine, like, were failed ventures. It looks like yours probably went better. But most of these to me were like failed ventures. And I'm like, well, thank God I didn't give up. I didn't just quit. Do you want to start us off? I want to hear about the gum thing again. That's a great place to start. I know you've mentioned it like once or twice, but
Yeah. Well, in third grade, my dad and stepmom brought me and my four siblings to Sam's Club. It's like Costco, if you don't know. And he bought us chiclets, which is a little square, little pillow looking gum. And I didn't want chiclets, but that's what we got. I mean, at Sam's Club, you buy it in bulk. And I wanted something different. And he said no. So, what I did, just me being me, is I asked my siblings, hey, do you want to buy my gum from me for a nickel? So I was getting 5 cents per little gum pack. And that way I could raise enough money to go get what I wanted. Obviously, I don't know how money worked at the time. So I didn't know that what I wanted was like $3 and there was not enough nickels to go around. But my parents, I got in trouble. They were like, oh my God, you can't do that. Like, you can't sell something that you were given. And I was like, why not? I want something different. I'm just making it happen. Like, I was so confused. I was like, I don't understand what I did wrong. I literally made it happen. Like, you told me you weren't going to buy it. So I figured out a way to do it. And they were like, where did you learn this? And I was like, I don't know. I just thought of it. Like, why? It makes sense. And I was just so ignorant.
I love that. That's just such a good like look at you now kind of story, like things like that leading into it. Because I've always been like that. Like even ever since I was little, like at what age do people start like giving you money instead of your parents having it? I feel like pretty young. Like when you're like 5 or 6, like someone gives you a couple bucks here and there and you cherish it and hide it under your bed or whatever. Oh, I just thought of something so funny too. I don't know if this is maybe like a deeply rooted issue or whatever it is, but like I used to hide my money in like such like hidden places that sometimes I wouldn't find it until like years later. As if like I didn't live in a house where like people were stealing my money. It was just like my mom, my dad, and my older brother.
Wait, why would you hide it? That's where we should find if this is an issue. Because I did the same thing, but I have a reason why, and it's not an issue. But what was your reasoning? Because you didn't want people to find it?
I don't really know. I feel like it was partially a method of like saving it for later, but also just like I don't know. This is something that I do. Like when someone gives me like a gift card, like I don't know, let's say I get like $100 gift card to a restaurant. Um, I just like don't use them. I tell myself that I need to save it for later to the point where that I just never use it. Like I have been sitting on a free pliable for like years, I feel like. And I'm waiting. I'm like with the point system and everything where they're like, do you want to use your free one? I'm like, no, I'm saving it. They're like, okay. And I feel like pretty soon I'm going to have enough points that they're just like, do you want to open up a franchise location? Um, because I have a lot. I don't know what it is though. One of the like specific ones that comes to mind, I had like 200 bucks. It was all in 20s. And I went like into my closet, just like it was just like a regular, like not a walk in closet. Like you just open the door and there's like shelves. And like inside the closet at the top above the door, where like no one would find this, I like taped the $200 up there. And I was like, no one will ever find that. And then I found it like years later and I was like, nice. I was like, but what the fuck was wrong with me that I felt like I had to do that at such a young age?
Nick, I do this too. And I definitely have gift cards that I hope don't expire and I just won't use them. I don't use the free thing at Sephora that I've gotten like in the same way, but I purposefully hide money places because I for me, like especially now, there's in my gratitude journal, I like stick hundreds in it, right? Like I have money hidden around my apartment and for me it's like a mindset thing where it's like it reminds me that everything is abundant, that like money's always accessible to me. And obviously it feels good to like randomly find it and you're like, "Oh my god, I forgot I did that." And I just always have money with me. I don't know why. I've done this. Like, I even when I didn't have money, I would have ones like hidden around my apartment. And I remember when I was moving, we had friends helping us in Louisiana, and they were like, "Why do you just have like money sitting around?" And I was like, "I don't know, just to remind myself that I have money, even though I don't, but I do." And I don't know, it's just kind of this like abundance thing that I love.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe it's like a blessing where I'm just like saving it for like just to remind myself that I have it. I don't know though. It feels like maybe there's something deeper rooted that I need to explore.
Well, maybe I do too then. Maybe this is a good discovery.
I don't know. Maybe. It's always worked out though. Like one time I found like $600 like tucked into like deep in the cup holder in my car. Um, like it's everywhere. I'm always finding things, and this would happen often. Like I would find like $200 to $500 at a time that I hid away, and I'm like, it's just like taped in weird places. I don't know. Someone listening to this, do I need help, or is this maybe a good thing? I don't know. But what I was leading into, my first side hustle, where I was like, I need to make some money, was shoveling snow, just going and knocking on random ass people's doors. I was too like, I don't know if the word is afraid or like prideful to knock on like my best friend's parents' doors. So I just went to like, it was like fear of rejection probably. So I just went to random ass people's houses and I would just knock on their door and be like, I was very young doing this. I was like, hey, can I shovel your driveway for $20? And like a couple people were like, hell yeah. Like they thought that was very cute. Um, it was so difficult. I picked like a like a blizzard to do this in. I maybe should have like waited till the next day or whatever. But I just got a taste of like, yeah, like I could go make some money doing stuff like this. Um, one of your next ones, Michelle, that I want to lead you into was you mentioned selling headbands in high school. What was that like?
Yeah, I even have the photos on my Facebook still from when I like listed them. But I would make these headbands and I would bedazzle them or whatever, and I would sell them to cheerleaders, softball players, volleyball players, like all the sports people, the girls that needed headbands. And it was just like a little side hustle just so I could get money to like, I don't know why I wanted money. I don't know. I also just, I think honestly, there's this girl, this mom named Connie Trotter, and she was the one that was like, you need to sell these for money. And I was like, no, I just like making them. I'm just going to give them away. She was like, no, you're going to sell them. And she's the one that really like encouraged me to sell them. But I also used to change broken iPhone screens in high school. Like that was like another side hustle because the place would cost $50 to do it, but I would do it for like $25. And I would just buy the screens on Amazon and I was good at it. Like I learned how to do it from a YouTube video and then I just did it. It was really easy to do. So that was like another one.
That's so cool. I love um I love stories like that. Like I don't know about you, but like I love passing a lemonade stand. I have a really funny one. There I was on the beach. This was last year. Um, and these two girls were selling like these little handmade bracelets for like $3 each. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Like, I'm totally going to bless them with like a 20 or something like that. And I was with my girlfriend, and like her wallet was just like right in front of me. So I just like reached. My plan was like I'm gonna give them $20 and just be like give them a little lesson. Her wallet was right there, so I just like grabbed $20 from her wallet and I was like, here, two bracelets. You guys keep this. And and I just gave them like this nice lesson. I forget what I said. But I was something like, I know how hard it is, like going from person to person asking this, like you feeling scared, walking up and like just hoping someone buys one. But like, let this be your lesson. Like, take that and like for life, like don't be afraid of rejection. And it was just so funny because like it wasn't even my $20. And my girlfriend was laughing because she was like, they are totally gonna forget that I exist and they're just gonna remember like you, even though it was my $20. And it was so funny, but like they had such a moment. And I love seeing like a lemonade stand or something like that. Like, give me all of your lemonade. It just feels so good.
Yeah. I know, I always try to support, like, if I see any little mini entrepreneurs, like, I just wanna support them. Any even if they're my age, like, I love that because I know how discouraging it can be. So if I can, like, go out of my way to encourage somebody, I always will. I'll always donate. We talk about this. I always round up to give to whatever charity. Like, I always leave an extra tip. Like, I don't know, it makes me feel good, and I'm like, "It'll come back around."
I am the same way. Like even like adult entrepreneurs like that have like a stand or a booth somewhere. Like I buy granola from this farmer's market nearby every week, and it's so expensive compared to just like buying the purely Elizabeth healthy granola from Target. But like I just love it. Like I love going there and being like, "Hey Susan, like missed you last week. Like here's $30 for the granola." Like and it just like makes them so happy, and honestly it makes me feel so good too, like to support other businesses because business is so damn hard.
Yeah. There's a lot of moving parts that if you don't own one, you don't realize.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. Here's like my first serious one. um this was definitely not legal. Maybe I've talked about this before. But I used to trade stocks and like forex, which just stands for foreign exchange. It's like just it's like trading stocks, but it's more so just like currencies. Like, oh, I think the US dollar is going to be more valuable than the Great British Pound tomorrow. So like it looks just like trading stocks. Like you look at the chart and everything, you could buy it or sell it. Um, and I used to do that when I was like 17 on an account that my mom had to make me because I think you had to be 18. I don't know if that was legal or not, but either way, I got really good at it because I'm like a math and numbers person. And but I didn't have enough money to like actually trade anything significant. Like I had like $100 in my account. So like a great trade might make me $8. And then I have a losing one where I lose $3. And I'm like, all right, I mean, this isn't moving the needle that much. So I started an anonymous social media account, like totally faceless, like posting my signals. And I ended up building like a community of like 10 or so people that were paying me like $50 a month. And I was telling them, like, buy this now, sell this tomorrow. Like, I was giving them the signals. Um, and there was this one guy named Michael. Boy, it would be cool if he happened to hear this episode. He probably won't. Maybe I'll send it to him if I could find him again. But like, I made him like thousands of dollars because he was like, he didn't know who I was. He didn't know I was like an anonymous 17-year-old. Like, I was making online trainings for these people and like breaking down everything. And he was putting like thousands of dollars into like whatever Nick says to do, we're doing it. And it was going great for him. And I was like starting to collect testimonials and stuff. Um, and I ended up doing that for like a long time, pretty much up until I did it like on and off. Like I started when I was 17, but like it took me a long time to actually get good at that and get consistent. And then by the time I got a full-time job as an engineer, which is like during the prime trading hours, it fizzled out. But that to me was like I learned so much from that about like how to make an online training, how to get a testimonial, what to do when like one of your monthly members wants to leave, like how do you get them to stay? Like I got so good at all of those things at a young age, and most people in my life don't actually know that I ever did that. Like I was like completely anonymous. Uh and I feel like I learned so much. That was such a cool one.
Wow. That's so fun because most kids that age are, like, not doing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was also like totally like typical kid too, like basketball after school and like stealing liquor from people's parents' liquors cabinet. Like I was also like your totally typical like high school and college person. But like I had this side to me that was like I can do something with my life. Like I have a lot of knowledge to share with people and I could find a way. So I started getting used to like failing at things early, but also learned like some useful tools. So that was a cool one. I really liked that one.
Yeah, I love that, and it's so funny because 'cause I'm like, when did I have time in high school to make headbands and have a boyfriend and be a full-time cheerleader, both a school cheerleader and competitive cheerleader, and I was, like, with people every single day. I had so much social stamina and energy. Like I was with people every day. I was always on the go. I was always doing something, but I think I didn't even think about the money thing because my mom would give me like an allowance or whatever because my dad was paying child support. So I think I had no concept of what money was. I just knew like if I wanted something I could get it, but I don't think I asked for a lot. But except getting my nails done, which is why I ended up getting a job. Like at 16, I was like, oh, I want some extra cash for things. And so I got a job and I was working for a lawyer and I was a legal assistant, which is crazy at 16 when I'm in school full time and in full time sports. Like I don't know how I did it, but I did it up until I graduated high school and I was 18. So it was very part time, but it was still like I had this is when I realized I didn't want to be a lawyer because I used to want to be a defense attorney because I loved debating and all that, but not for me, thank God. But I just really loved like doing stuff and having, just I just wanted to be able to do what I wanted. And I was like, my third grade self back all over again where I was like, how do I do this? Like, how can I get my nails done? How can I get the new zebra car seats in my Camaro? Like, what the heck was I thinking? I had pink zebra car seat covers and two subwoofers like in my trunk of my first Camaro. Like, oh my God, I was a party animal, but not because I wanted to like escape, but because I just loved being with people and having fun. But I still made time for like side things.
I was the exact same way. Like I was always doing something, but like had this like secret side where I was like, I want to also like make a lot of money, and like it didn't have anything to actually do with money. Like I was like, I got nothing good to spend this on other than like beer and weed, but like I want to have money for sure. And so what other kinds of like let's start getting into some of your more advanced ones, like when you started doing some voiceover acting.
Yeah. So, I mean, even when I was young, I would do some like photography. Like I was in school photography yearbook. So I did graphic design, photography, babysitting, whatever. But whenever I graduated high school and went to college, I was so I worked in an apartment complex because that's how I could get free rent. Because at that point, my mom had kind of like not paid for everything at that exact point in life. And so I had to figure it out on my own. And so I was a leasing assistant. And then I moved up to a manager position at an apartment complex while also being a promotional representative for Anheuser-Busch. They're the like Bud Light brand. That's who's over Bud Light and I think Heineken or something. So I would go to like events and I would be giving out free beer to people. Who doesn't love that? And I would take photos and like go on stage with country music singers in College Station, Texas at A&M. And like I would throw things to the crowd for Bud Light. And I have photos of all of that. It's so funny. And I was also doing like voiceover acting, commercial acting. There's like entrepreneurs at A&M, and the first commercial I really did that was like legit was this company that was kind of like Uber. It was called U Ride, like the letter U. And I was their commercial, like I was the actor in the commercial. And that's when I really had my eyes open about how much I freaking love acting. I love it. And that's when I really was like, I need to move somewhere where I can do this. And that's what brought me to New Orleans. But I was also a cheerleading coach. I did cheerleading choreography. When I was in high school for the junior high cheerleader tryouts, I would get paid by parents to help their kids like really learn the dance and the cheer and help with their jumps and all of that for their tryouts. So I was also helping like the younger generation of cheerleaders. And then when I was at Texas A&M, I was a cheer coach, a gymnastics coach. Wow, what else did I do? Well, then I moved to New Orleans. And in New Orleans, I was also a cheer coach temporarily. And I worked at a boutique and I was a model for like print. So I would like wear their clothes or their purse or their jewelry. And I was like the model for a few different brands out there, doing voiceover acting, doing commercial acting. And then I started working at a like fitness club, like a luxury fitness club, and I started at the front desk. I would literally wake up at 2:30. I had to be at work at 3:30 to open up the whole club. And then I would work till 8, and then I was still in college, so then I would go to college 2 or 3 times a week. Anyway, worked up to myself as a manager. Then I was serving at the church place and doing photography and social media. Then I got offered a job there. And I did that while I finished college, and then I stayed. And I stayed at the same salary which was 15 an hour at this place with a bachelor's degree in business and marketing. But it was fine because, again, I don't think I've ever really done stuff because of money, except for like when I wanted to launch an online course. I justified it with money because I was like, all these people want help creating content. And although I don't want to like teach, I want to help people. And if I can help somebody else be free and do what they love, I'm going to do whatever I can. Like I lost like at least 50 grand because I spent so much time making courses and downloads and stuff because I stopped doing collabs for myself because I wanted to help people be free and like freaking learn how to be a content creator because I was like, oh, y'all don't know, let me help. I never wanted to go into content creation to have a course. Some people do that, Nick. Some people are like, I want to learn to UGC so I can make a course about UGC. And I'm like, oh, that's so not what I did. Like I was doing it and I was like, oh, y'all want help? Okay, well, nobody else has anything, so let me do what I can. And I genuinely love helping people, but I think we've determined I'm not very driven by money. I've always been driven by like, I just want to do whatever the F I want. I want to be free. I want to live my life. Like, don't control me. I hate being controlled.
Yeah, that I love all of that. You did so much. It's so cool. I'm really happy we're doing this episode and like giving everyone some background because it's even interesting for me. Like I didn't know you did 45,000 things.
Yeah. I'm missing some too. There's some that I didn't even mention.
Yeah, totally. I've probably got a whole bunch of others as well. I like that you kind of mentioned that it wasn't motivated by money because you're leading me into the first one that I did where I was like, you know what? Like my trading stuff, like I actually did not like. It was very stressful. I was totally motivated by money. I was like, well, what's the best way to make money? I think it's probably trading stocks and things online and also telling other people how to trade stocks and things online. But like as that was taking a back seat, I was like, how can I do it with something I love? And then that's when me and two of my best friends, still best friends, but we don't do this anymore, started like a golf podcast and YouTube channel and social media things. And that was where I got over my fear. Not that I had a fear, but like my reservations, I guess, about like being on camera. Cause the previous side hustle, I was totally anonymous, didn't want anyone to know I was doing that. But now I had my two friends and I was like, cool, anyone could watch us do this because like it's just me and my two buddies and we're just messing around and we were just like we're not that good at golf. It was really just like for entertainment purposes only. And then I started like taking it a little more seriously. Like I was making content frequently. I had a TikTok get 100,000 views that I made in my backyard. um, and I was like, wait a minute, like we're kind of getting somewhere here, but how do I make money doing this? Like I was like, we're having fun, but like we're losing money for sure. Like we're paying people to edit our YouTube videos and things. Like we're paying to have a podcast, which we only did one episode of, but we recorded others. We just never actually like got them live because things started to like fall apart. Um, and I got over my fear of like being on camera and letting people like see me publicly fail or be silly or whatever the thing was. And I was like, how do we make money with this? And I landed an affiliate deal with Jocko Willink, the Navy SEAL, his brand, Origin Maine, where everything is made in Maine and in the US. Um, and they sell like jujitsu gear and like healthy energy drinks and protein powder and stuff. And I was like starting to promote those in videos. Um, but then things just like started to fall off. Like I was doing a whole lot of the stuff. And like my other two friends had jobs that were like we were struggling to like find the time to make all of this happen. And I was like, okay, I'm not afraid of being on social media anymore. I want to make money doing something I love and helping people. But I was like, I felt like I had to pivot because I would have felt weird doing that without them. And that was when I started like really, because I was always into self development, and that's where I was like, maybe that's my thing. And I just started. I was like, I'm so tired of like doing these things and then like stopping and like try something new and stopping. I was like, I'm going to get an LLC, and that was when I made Get Ahead with Nick. And I like made the Instagram account, and I was like, I started a business now. I can't give up on this one. Um, I'm not afraid of social media anymore. I don't care what people think. Um, and here we go.
And here we are. That's crazy.
I know that was all of like my side hustles and how it led to this. I might be missing others. Like obviously, I had other jobs. I delivered pizza. I worked at Walgreens. I worked at Famous Footwear. I lifeguarded. Um, I feel like I had other actual like side hustles though, but like nothing serious for sure.
It's so funny because everything I ever did, I always thought I would do forever. Like I would always just give it my all with the expectation, like I'm here now. This is the door that's open for me, and I'm gonna give it my all. Like I remember even when I left the gym I was working at in Louisiana, and I had like a I mean, I was full time, like a lot of responsibilities. And I really wanted to work at this church. I really wanted to do it. It was like I was there more than I was working. Like I would take off work to go there just to volunteer because it made me happy. And I remember when I put in, or I had this moment where I was like, I think I need to put in my 2 weeks at this gym. Like, I just don't feel like I'm supposed to be here anymore. But the last 2 weeks, I gave it my all. I made training binders. I like still knew I was like so over it because I got offered a job the same day I put in my 2 weeks. It was the weirdest thing. It was like totally meant to be. I was willing to work as a janitor to be at that job. Like, I wanted to just be there. I didn't care what I did. But then my ex boss was like, we want you for social media. You're so talented. We want you to do photography. We want to pay you. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, that's way better than like cleaning trash cans. But that's how desperate I was to work. That's how much it made me happy to just be in that environment. And my now husband worked there too, which is really cool. So, anyway, long story short, I think that a lot of times it's so hard when you're looking so much ahead and you're unhappy with where you're at instead of like using it as an opportunity to be like, you know what, I'm here for a reason. Let me make somebody's day. Let me be a light in this place. Let me like try to encourage others around me, make connections. Oh my God, the connections I've made at all those previous jobs are some of those were my first clients of my business in 2020. And it's just so beautiful because it's like, had I not shown up with a good attitude and put my best foot forward every day and showed up with excellence, I probably would have not been as successful from the beginning with my business because a lot of people knew my character right when I started my business based on how my character was in other scenarios.
So inspiring. So, honestly, so inspiring. I love listening to these stories. There's so much to take away from them. What would you say to someone who's listening and they're like they're doing a side hustle and they're like because like we've obviously made pivots and we've made changes, so it's hard. Like I certainly couldn't sit here and say like you can't ever pivot. You have to just pick one thing and do it forever. Because that's not true. Sometimes you do have to pivot, but like what would you say to someone, Michelle, who's like, I'm doing this side hustle, I've been doing it for a while, I feel stuck, it might be time to pivot, but like how do I know?
Hmm. That's a good question. I thought you were going to ask me if they're at a job they're unhappy with, because I can also speak on that because that's huge. But if you're doing a side hustle and you feel like it, I mean, the thing is, I think that you pivot more than you don't. I think it's so good to pivot if you're doing a side hustle, especially if it's like your own business or like you're the person that has the EIN, right? Um, I think that if you're not pivoting, are you growing? Like at least a little. Like I've pivoted a lot, even in the last year, even since the start of this podcast, I've done a lot of pivoting. You know, when TikTok Shop really blew up, like there's a lot of things that have changed. I would say if you feel unhappy with something, it's time to pivot. That is not it's not a bad thing. And I'm not saying like, oh, if you don't like doing your taxes, you shouldn't have a business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like if there's something that you're doing and it's become less exciting and mundane and you're just kind of you feel stuck, that is a beautiful red flag for you right in front of your face that something, even if it's something tiny, just pivot a little. There's something so magical and beautiful about our intuition and our gut and like what drives us and what makes us happy, what makes us feel those things. And if you're not feeling those things, depending on what the scenario is, just pivot a little. Like if I was getting sick of TikTok and I wanted to go to Instagram, I would pivot. When I was sick of Instagram, I left Instagram for a year. Like I just stopped posting on it because I was like, I just want to be on TikTok. I just want to show up as myself. And I just pivoted a little. I didn't delete my account, but I just pivoted because you know what? I knew that if I'm going to show up, I want to at least show up authentically happy. I don't want to like be forcing myself to do something because I feel stuck.
Yeah, it's true. That really makes perfect sense. I've been feeling like I'm on the verge of a pivot in my own business and like who I like to work with, or maybe the model that I like to. Because you're right, sometimes you're just feeling like a little bit stuck or stagnant. It's like it's okay. It's okay to try something new, make some pivots, open some new doors. And also, that's where like a lot of the growth happens too. Because if you get too comfortable doing one thing, then it's like eventually it's no longer inspiring or challenging. And when you make those pivots too is often when you meet the new people that are meant to walk into your life and make improvements or open your eyes to something.
That's the thing. If you're not flexible with the pivot, you're literally keeping the door closed. It's like opportunities and people are trying to open the door and you're on the other side holding it shut because what? You want to stay in your comfort zone because you're afraid of what might happen? Don't do that to yourself. You're better than that. Let those people come through the door. Don't hold it shut because of the what ifs that flood your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you have to also set aside other people's opinions too. I feel like that's a big lesson that we both probably learned in all these side hustles. Like I was trying to not I was trying to be anonymous for a while because I didn't want people to know what I was doing, and like it was so freeing to just be like fuck everybody. I don't care what anyone thinks anymore. Like it's time that I build the life that I'm dreaming of rather than like keep myself in a box so that I don't stand out from the crowd. Cause like it's scary to put yourself out there, but like it's scarier not to.
Yeah. And you know what's so cool is that when you're sure of what you like, when you're confident and you are sure of what you want and who you are, people are going to then be like, you know what? She seems so into what she's doing. I support it. And I love when I see people just doing what they want to do, wearing what they want to wear, being who they want to be. I start to love those little things about them because they love those things about themselves. They're not asking for validation. And I've learned that. Like, I've learned that I am just me. Like, people don't speak into my life on certain things because, for one, don't take advice from people who don't have what you want. But also, they don't really know. Like, I know what I want, I know who I am. A lot of people are like, you're a force to be reckoned with. Like, because I'm just so grounded now in what I want and who I am. And that's what I desire for everybody. But it does take maybe hearing the wrong advice and learning, like, oh, you know what? Like, this is not getting me close to my goal. There are haters and naysayers. And I have to learn to just kind of pick and choose what goes into my head, especially when it's your own thoughts. Our own thoughts can make or break us. And you've got to just be like, you know what? I like doing this thing. There's a reason I was born with this passion and these gifts. And I'm going to dig into that because nobody else is going to do it for me. So I'm going to do it for myself and I'm going to be who I am. That's it.
So good. So good. That feels like a rewind the last few seconds moment. Um, Michelle, what other big takeaways have you had in your pursuit of 4,000 different side hustles? Because it's so impressive how many things you've done. I truly thought, like, I thought I would have you beat with how many things I've done, and like, not even close. What other like big takeaways are there? Like, what should people know?
None of it was a waste of time. None of it. None of it. And every little thing that you do, that every step that you take, if it's at least a step closer to chasing your goals, or if it's at least in alignment, like me checking people in and giving them a towel at the health club at 4 a.m. honestly could have felt like, oh, that has nothing to do with content creation. I was an assistant, I was doing all these things. But you know what it does? Because one of them became my clients, and then one of them referred me to another person who became a social media client. And then some of them were working at that church that I was working at, you know? And it's just like, if even if the tasks are daunting, use every single day as an opportunity of if these people are interacting with me, if they're intersecting with my day, there's a reason. There are certain people that you come across in life, and we just sit there and mind our own business a lot of the times, and we don't ever get to the root of why was that person in my life? Like, what was all this about? And seeing it from the perspective of like, no matter what you're doing, even if you're working at McDonald's right now and you want to be a full time UGC creator, use every day as an opportunity to observe people, get to know people, be kind towards somebody. It's not even just about money or what you're doing for a living. It's also about what impact are you having on those around you, and let that be what drives you and motivates you every day. And know that like a good day is whenever you can sit down at night and be like, did I do something nice for somebody else today? That is so important to do every day. And then you will always get something in return, even if it's not from that person. And it doesn't even matter if you do, don't expect that. But like, don't think that any little task that you've done is a waste of time, because maybe it's also teaching you what you don't want to do. And it's showing you, like, you know what, this isn't what I want to do with my life. Let me just try something different.
Wow. So good. Oh, I love that you said none of them were a waste of time. Um, that's just such nice validation for like anyone who's like, because it's easy to look back on your past side hustles and be like, that one, like it feels like they failed if it's not still the thing you're doing, but it's like maybe that was the stepping stone and you learned all the lessons or met the person or this or that. um oh, yeah.
That's why whenever you originally said failed, I said, no, 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 I don't think they're fails. Nothing. I don't think I failed at anything. I literally don't regret things, and I don't think I've failed. I pivoted, but it's all perspective, right? Like, that's just perspective.
Yeah, it's true. That was awakening for me because I was like, I know what we could talk about next week. We could talk about all our failed side hustles. And you were like, but I've never failed at one. And I was like, right, me neither. Even though I looked at all of mine, I was like, that one didn't fucking work. This one didn't work. I don't do this anymore. But you're right. Like they weren't actually failures. Like it's those stepping stones to get to where you want to go.
I'm raising my hand.
I was going to say, Michelle, do you have a question?
Let me just raise my hand. Nick, the reason I don't see them as failures is because they all brought you here today, right? Like, just because you stopped doing something doesn't mean you failed at it. It just means that that door was closed so a better one could open. There is no failure in that. Like, now quitting and just being miserable and just giving up, that's failing. That's a fail. But if I would have tried to hold on to the same thing I was doing 3 years ago, that is a fail, because that is not bringing me closer to what I'm meant to do in life. So just because something ends doesn't mean it fails. It only fails if you stop pursuing what you know you should be doing. That's a fail. And I've never done that. I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing right now.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. I love it so much. Wow. I don't think I could add anything else. I think I need to let that one marinate. So I'm sure everyone listening does too. Um, if you guys loved this episode, or you have ideas for another episode, or you have a question, we love getting your questions. Go to creationtocashflow.com and leave us a voice note and be like, hey, I'm Jackson and I live in Kentucky and I want you guys to speak more about this. I really like, I could use a little clarity. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that topic. If you've been listening and you've been wanting to send one, but you just haven't, do it. Just go to creationtocashflow.com. Also, leave us a good rating. Those help us so much. That's the validation we need. We don't run any ads. I mean, we would if we have like a perfect thing that we want you guys to do or try that would benefit your life, but like we don't run any ads. We just do this for you guys. So give us that validation. Hey, loved this episode. Do more like that, or whatever it is you have to say. And you can check us out on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok at Creation to Cashflow. You could find me on anywhere at Get Ahead with Nick, and you can find Michelle pretty much anywhere at Michelle JH, Michelle with 2 L's, then 4 E's, JH. And thanks for listening.